Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109, and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 432nd edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. On this edition, it is Minimal California Part 1. A flight to San Diego and Operation Get My Bike to Seattle begins. Sunny California just lures me in with perfect... Wait, what's that? Oh, rain all day in San Diego. Yeah, that tracks. Look, day one of the experiment that is Minimal California has a soggy start and a magical finish because all winter bike trips lead to Disney parks, right? From Dulles Airport. Everything went very smoothly. It was the right choice to roll the bike. I ended up in the garage that has an outdoor walking corridor, basically, rather than the indoor underground one. And that was maybe slightly closer, but it was trivial to get the bike there. Very crowded in the garages this week. Don't know why, but much more so than Baltimore. The last time I flew, everything went great. I got in front of the Alaska check-in desks and very easily got the bike disassembled and in the bag, and it was probably as easy as it's ever been. I think it's because I've been doing it more recently. I guess it was less than, 6 months ago, give or take? Yeah, very good, and it's moderately protected. I brought a little extra cardboard with me that'll hopefully do the trick. The one thing that I always worry about is the fork. It's just really unprotected in this, and I need to get something to help with that. Of course, the next time you hear from me when I'm in San Diego, I'll talk about how bent my fork is and how my trip is scuttled. And I have to carry my bike now. Hopefully not. But yeah, everything is going pretty well. If I get in early, as Alaska is now telling me I am, it'll only be a little after 8. I'll be tired, but I think it makes more sense for me to reassemble the bike, at least in part, and ride to the hotel. There is a shuttle, but I just think that by the time I call them and they come over and the whole thing, it's really not that far. So I'll decide how tired I am and how willing I am to do it. I do have a headlamp. I do have my rear light. It is not a very well-traveled area, so I don't expect there to be much, if any, traffic. But of course, I do want to be lit up like a Christmas tree. And my rain jacket is white with reflection in it, so that's good. Yeah, overall, so far, as smooth as I could expect. Got here on time, and I'm in really good shape. The only downside is I haven't been upgraded to first class. Oh, first world problems, right? I think I'm going to see if I can try to find some food, and I will hop on the plane, and I guess the next time you'll hear from me will be in San Diego, California. More to come. From San Diego, California. That was a piece of cake. It really was. I am so thrilled at how this went. I am thrilled with how the bike handled it. I am thrilled with how close and how great. Can I just give a shout out to San Diego, the airport, and the ease of getting out of it and going to a hotel and then to get on your way. This is one of the... I'd be hard-pressed to come up with a better in-and-out airport than this one. It is absolutely fantastic. It took me longer to put my bike together than it took to get to this hotel. And there's two of them. I'm at the Hampton Inn. There's another one I can't remember who it is, but maybe a Marriott. Regardless, it is absolutely simple to be able to fly and ride out of this airport, or indeed fly to the airport and fly out, which I've also done. The bike seems to be in tremendously great shape. I obviously only had a few minutes of riding, but the brakes seem to be checking out. The shifting seems to be checking out. Everything seems to be checking out, which is just great. I'm really thrilled with my new system of putting the dog's body bike bag on the front. What's really great about it is it's set and forget. It will stay there almost assuredly until the hotel tomorrow. I doubt I will leave it on my bike. If everything works out tomorrow, which will be next week for you, of course. But actually, no, it'll be this episode. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the podcast host. He doesn't know what he's talking about. When I get to that other hotel, I'll probably ditch the bike bag because I'm going to want this bike completely stripped down. It will be locked up outside of Disneyland, and I suspect that there's some exposure there. So I'm not going to leave anything on there, including probably the frame bag. I'll probably just take everything off for that. But getting back to the travel day today, I know that I've been a bit of a fanboy for Alaska Airlines, but for what they do for a bicycle situation, it just works out really well. Their policies are so clear that I've never had an issue at any front desk ever, not once. I'll reiterate what I probably said just a few minutes ago to you. When you fly a bike on Alaska Airlines, it is considered a regular bag. So if you've got a bike box, if you've got a bag like mine, whatever you've got, it's considered sports equipment, and it flies like a regular bag, so long as it's not more than 50 pounds, and most bikes aren't going to be that much. They do ask that you don't put anything but the bike in the bike bag or box. That I have found to be flexible, largely because you're allowed to give it some cushioning and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, everything was fine. The only thing that I would say, I should back up. The woman who checked me in DC also ended up being airside as well and paged me because she was concerned. She thought that she checked it to Seattle, not to San Diego. And she came all the way down to the gate to find me to see my claim tag, and we confirmed that yes, indeed, it was checked to San Diego. But that was just another thing that probably she didn't have to do. It was a really nice thing to confirm something. I'm glad she was wrong, but it was great that she double checked on things, and that was pretty cool. So I enjoyed that element of things. Sorry, my watch is yelling at me because it's insisting that I am still cycling, which of course I'm not. Bike was easily put on board. I do have to say the smartest thing I did was the choice on the DC side of things, where I kept the bike out of the bag and put it in the bag right before going in. I think I'm going to do that more frequently because for the most part, when a bike is in non-packed mode, it is easier to maneuver. You can put things on it like your bags and things like that. It is just much better. So as long as I'm not in a place where bikes are prohibited leading to the airport, boy, that just seems to be a lot better. And of course, you do have to bake in a little bit of extra time. But now that I've gotten, at least with this bike, a little bit better at what it means to take it apart and put it together, it's a very minimal deconstruction and reconstruction, and really only takes me between 10 and 15 minutes. And I think I could probably do better than that as time goes on. I'll be doing it again. Let's see, I'll be taking it apart, in Orange County, and then potentially putting it back together on Seattle side as well. So yeah, it makes life a lot easier. Now, of course, if I'm going to have to be going with an Uber or a Lyft or getting dropped off, unless there's a bike rack, obviously that's not going to be possible. But I'll tell you what, when I'm self-sufficient, I think that's going to be the way that I'm going to end up going. It's not always possible, but when it is, I like it a lot. I have to say I'm really jazzed tonight about how this all went, because here's the other thing. I'm not spread out all over this hotel room. I have one backpack. It's a little heavier than I wanted it to be, and that is because a few minutes ago to you, a few hours ago to me, when I was talking about the computer that I wasn't going to bring, I realized that I have some important tax stuff that I've got to file for family that can only be done on this particular computer for reasons I will not bore you with, but I actually need a Windows install for an on-computer thing, and I realized that because I would have to boot into Windows, I couldn't do it remotely, and I sat there and said, so much for my minimalist setup. So yeah, I'm that much heavier in this backpack. And it is interesting because just holding it, it feels really heavy. And it gets me back to the whole thing. It's really easy to keep adding weight to your stuff. And this was meant to be as light as possible, but between toiletries and that computer, I don't have much else in here. I've got a couple of other things of clothing. There's no extra shoes in there, but boy, it just does add up. And I think that is a really good lesson here about when you are trying to cut weight on a bike trip, you can find yourself adding weight a lot quicker than you would expect. I have zero camping stuff, and just again lifting up this backpack, I have no idea how heavy it is, but it feels like it's at least 10 or 15 pounds, maybe 15. It's just really heavy compared to what I was expecting, and that's a bummer. The other bummer with it is because it's going to be on the rear rack, that's a weight that's actually up pretty high. So I've lost out on some of the advantages that I thought I was going to have. I think I meant to say advantages. I think I merged that into a couple of less syllables. But in any event, I think that's going to be my one challenge potentially tomorrow when I'm riding, is that the bike might feel a little off from a weight perspective. I might consider seeing if there's something else that I can do about weight distribution or something else. I don't know, but it's something to consider. I will not be putting it on my back. That would make it even worse. Anybody who considers doing long rides with a backpack, go ahead and try it. You will quickly be disabused of doing it. It is not comfortable, it's extra tiring, and the weight geometry is way off. Riding a bike, especially for long distances with that kind of weight up that high, will just be miserable. I know some of you have probably done it and maybe even swear by it, but it is not great. Utilize the bike to carry your stuff. It is a much better situation. So ultimately, I have to wonder if, because I brought the computer, if I would have been better served bringing one pannier instead, and then the weight would have been lower. Now, of course, the weight would have been distributed on one side. I could go down this path and kick myself for all sorts of different reasons. This is the gear setup that I've got. This is the trip that I planned, so we're going to go with it. And we'll see whether or not there's something better that I can do with this. One thought that I have is I have a bunch of stuff in the outer pockets, and it adds a lot of height to where it gets strapped down. And I'm wondering if I can get everything into the main compartment, if that might end up being better from a weight distribution standpoint. Who knows? I will play around with it tomorrow. Tonight, it is a little bit after 9 o'clock Pacific time. I'm not as tired as I would have expected that I would be, because being on East Coast time, it's after midnight, but I guess I'm just excited. So I don't think that there's any reason to do any gear stuff tonight. Like I said, the bike seemed to be behaving well, so I don't feel like I need to do anything with that. I think what I will do is drink a ton of water, maybe have whatever snack I didn't eat from the plane, and consider getting into bed a little bit on the earlier side than I anticipated, and then get up early tomorrow. I think jet lag's probably going to help me with that. The idea that with tomorrow that is going to be challenging, in addition to the extra weight that I described, it does appear that there's a better than 50-50 chance of rain tomorrow, precisely when I would like to be getting out there. So as a result, I'm really glad I brought the rain gear. Of course, that's extra clothing that I brought that I was hoping I wouldn't need, but I brought it because it looked like this was going to happen. Seems it's going to happen, so we'll make do. And with rain, that could either push me back, or it might not be a big deal. I came all the way to California for a winter ride, hoping to avoid the rain that I would normally get in Seattle, and here we are. One thing I will say is that it's probably going to be a solid 10 degrees warmer here than it would be in Seattle. It's not that big of a deal. Also, it's not supposed to last much past noon based on what I'm seeing. So who knows? If I'm lucky, this ends up coming earlier than it is forecast, and that would be great, and have it be all wrapped up before I would be leaving. I would love to get out of here probably in the maybe I'd say 9 o'clock hour.
the idea is I've got roughly 30 some odd miles. It's closer to 40, so it's 37 miles, I think it is, to Oceanside's transit center. And you figure that's going to be probably with breaks somewhere in the 5-hour range. So if I leave at 9 trying to make a 3:18 train, that gives me some buffer as well in case I am slower or I do take longer breaks or anything along those lines. So I can't dawdle. I can't really push this off. If the weather does keep me from leaving here in the 9 o'clock hour, that might be a situation where I scope out one of the train stations and look to try to get a fast forward to get to Oceanside before my next fast forward. So we'll figure it all out. It was really nice tonight. It was cool but not cold. Certainly a metric crap ton warmer than what I've been having. So I'm really looking forward to the riding tomorrow morning. So that's it for day 0. In a whoosh or a bicycle coast, you're going to hear me getting ready to leave for day 1. So more to come.
Good morning from San Diego, California, and it is pouring. It is absolutely pouring. It is a little after 6:30 in the morning. The jet lag woke me up a little earlier, or a lot earlier than I normally wake up. So that's good. But I opened up my window, or the shades on the window, and I looked outside, and I was expecting it to be, I don't know, that kind of foggy drizzle, which is pretty common around here, and it is pouring. Like more rain, harder rain than we get in Seattle. So I am not going to ride in this, but it does look like that this is going to ebb sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. So I think that I'm in decent shape. But what this does do is it tightens my time a little bit, because I was thinking, oh, wow, I'm up, so why don't I just get going? And no, I'm not going to go out riding in this. And the reason is, it's not that I don't have the rain gear. Obviously, I could ride in this. It's just that I don't have the proper gear to keep my stuff dry. And that was a choice. Remember, a few minutes ago for you, last night for me, I was saying, oh, maybe I should have brought a pannier. If I had, I think I would have been more likely to give this a shot. But I think that if I went out in this, the backpack would quickly soak up, and I got a computer in there, all my clothes, or it's just a minimal amount of clothes. I think it would end up being a bit of a sufferfest. And you heard what a sufferfest sounds like with the Olympic Peninsula best ofs. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. I believe we're in the 50s too. So this actually would be really uncomfortable and not fun. This is going to end. It will be glorious on the other side of this. The only question ends up being is whether or not this is going to squeeze my time so much that it would be difficult to make the train that I would like to make. So we'll see how this ends up going. What this does do is I'll make some coffee. I will pull everything together, maybe rejigger that backpack so that it sits better. It gives me some time to deal with all of that. I can look and see if there's any breakfast options, because I realized that because I did not get upgraded to first class, I had a bunch of snacks for dinner last night, and I would like to make sure that I've got at least some food in me that is sustainable. I do have some cereal bars that I think will be great for some quick energy, but I really do need to get some more substance into me first. And I also would like to really hydrate some more. I am very dehydrated right now, so I will be working on all of that for the next several hours. And then hopefully this will blow through. It looks like that this front is moving north, which is good, and nothing would make me happier to see this rain substantially slow down in the 8 o'clock hour, because then I could get out of here at 9. But I'm just going to let the weather give me what it gives me. And as I mentioned before, I do have options that can fast forward me from wherever I can get to Oceanside, and there are multiple stops. So I think I feel pretty good about all of that. I may not get all of the riding in that I wanted, but again, this ride is not so much about the miles. It's more about, hey, I flew to the West Coast and I'm getting my bike to Seattle. That's as big of a reason for all of this as anything else. But it's nice to get a ride in. It's nice to talk to you all. It's nice to get my first little bikey adventure in for 2026. And it's only February. That all works really well for me. Oh, it's March for you, but it's February for me. Okay, enough yammering. I'm going to make some coffee. So I had a fantastic breakfast. One of the better medium low-end hotel setups for breakfast that I think I've ever had. Very good. I've definitely got all the food that I need to get going. It is still raining. However, the forecast is absolutely perfect. It is saying that the rain should be ending almost precisely at 9 a.m., which I think is fantastic. I am still planning on wearing my full rain gear to start. I don't know what kind of opportunities I'll have to change out of them. I don't love riding in rain gear. I tend to get a little too warm. I think this is just going to have to be what it is. I'm going to be wearing shorts underneath the rain pants and just one layer. I'm actually considering if I should wear a t-shirt underneath the jacket rather than a long sleeve. In fact, I think I'm definitely going to do that. That, I think, will mitigate overheating with all of it on, and then I can always change layers as necessary. It's just psychologically not as fun for me to ride in rain gear, although it clearly is the right choice, even if there's just a little bit of drizzle. But, and part of that is that the long pants that I have, they'll be soaked even with just like a little bit of drizzle. So I think that this is the right choice for the beginning here. And like I said, I can roll for a while. I think if memory serves, I go through some parks as I start to leave San Diego and get into the northern suburbs there, or the northern beach towns, I should say. I don't know if they'd consider themselves suburbs. But yeah, I think that there'll be opportunity to make some changes as necessary and just figure it out from there. So yeah, the weather otherwise looks like it's going to be pretty fantastic. I did take a look ahead and figured out the towns that I have options for in terms of bailout. If just this whole thing goes super sideways, it's about an hour and a half of riding once I leave San Diego to get to the first real opportunity for a train fast forward. I suspect there may be buses as well. If this rain ends up going, I should be in really good shape. But there's Solano Beach, there's Encinitas, and there's a couple of other beach towns that have the coaster train that I had mentioned. And that's the one that could connect me up to the Metrolink train, which is the one that's really important and the one that I have a hard deadline for. Like I said, there is a later one. It really ends up making my evening less fun because I wouldn't be getting to Anaheim until after dark. I'd have to be riding to the hotel with bike lights, which again, I've got them. It's no problem. It's just, what are the things that make this trip a little bit more fun? And I think it's front-ending the ride. It's getting there at a decent hour. It's getting settled before sunset. And then the evening is all mine, and we'll just figure it out from there. It's not terrible to have a little bit of rain at the Disneyland Anaheim Resort. That might knock down some crowds. It might give me more of an opportunity to get into my favorite tiki bar. We will see. I don't know. I have a weird clicking that I am trying to figure out where it's coming from in my body. I'm getting to that age. All right, that is it. I'm going to jump in the shower, and then by the time I get out of the shower and figure out what I'm going to be doing in terms of clothing, I'll just be peeking outside and seeing if the rain is still coming down. I think I'll do that right now, real-time follow-up. Yeah, a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of steady drizzle, much less than earlier. So it's very clear that this rain is getting itself out of the system. I'm very grateful that I was smart enough to look ahead, because if I didn't have rain gear, this would have definitely set me back. And then I would have had to have done the fast forwards. And I would really prefer not to do that. I would really like to get all the way to Oceanside and get a real good full day of riding, and just to kind of shake off the cobwebs and feel a little bit more active after the freezing weather that we've had on the East Coast. After that big storm, it just stayed cold for a couple of weeks, and there just wasn't an opportunity to really get out and do things while I've been back on the East Coast. So this will feel really good to take care of this and see how I'm feeling, see where I'm at. It's a good measuring stick too, this ride. And last year, of course, I thought I was in a reasonably decent shape because I had been going to the gym. But the reality was that I had been so distracted with last year's craziness that I was in no shape to do anything that was even moderately challenging. And of course, I ended up with those headwinds and whatnot in Florida last year. Can't believe it was a year ago. All right. Enough reminiscing, a little more showering, and then, hey, let's get geared up and get out of here. Want to come?
And we are rolling, which feels really good. There is the barest amount of what I would call drizzle, but it is nothing that would be a problem. I'm still feeling pretty good about the rain pants and the rain jacket to start. It's pleasantly cool. It's about 60 degrees. And this route out of here is just so easy and good. I cannot re-emphasize enough how delightful it is to fly in and out of San Diego Airport with a bike, and the options that are available. Not from a camping perspective, that just does not exist. But from a cycling perspective, it's really great. Now, according to this, we are in a construction situation here. It looks like this is a bike trail of some type. It was an actual curb, no like ramps type of setup. But this does appear to be all right. Okay. And I can't decide whether or not I'm supposed to be on, I think I'm supposed to be on the paved rather than on this very wet gravel. I have to be honest, I couldn't have gotten a more delightful set of weather conditions right now. I was bemoaning the possibility of rain, but all it's done is made everything smell amazing. It's cool. It's overcast, which, as you all know, is my favorite. And yeah, we're in great shape. Yeah, it's always a bummer when I start in San Diego. I've done this a few times where I spend the night and then it's just, okay, well, leaving San Diego now. But I've done, as is documented on this fine podcast, some amazing riding on the Brompton around here. And San Diego is certainly a likely place for repetition. I'm going over the Nimitz Bridge right now, which appears to be an all, at least the way, because of the construction, this may be an all ped and bike bridge, and it's very wide. It's very clearly was made for motor vehicles as well, but right now I got it all to myself, which is nice. Just a beautiful place. One of the most expensive places in the world to live in. And when today's, or this morning's weather is the worst weather you'll ever get, it says something, doesn't it? Oh, and we're going down. That might be, that's not the biggest hill I'll have today. I have a substantial climb. If memory serves, this was a tricky thing for me. Okay, I see. I'm back on the gravel, and I should be on the paved, at least according to Google directions. So we'll do that. And yeah, bike seems to be faring quite well so far. Yeah, this is a notably awesome place to do some winter riding. So I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes the new Florida ride, where it's start in San Diego and throw a Disney park in there. That seems to be my way. And there are all sorts of different opportunities to play around with different routes as well. And of course, not start in LA, and there's tons of opportunities. I will say not having a front fender is going to be very interesting. So far, so good. Here on this paved path it is definitely, there's a lot of standing water. The rear one, I think, is the more important one to have. The reason why I don't have the front one is it largely blew up on me one of the last times I ended up shipping the bike, because I want to remove it. You should really remove it when you're doing this, but for the going on the plane. But it's a pain, as all of you who deal with fenders know. And I took off that front fender because I think it broke or something. It just was a nightmare, whatever it was. I just remember it being a nightmare. And at the end of the day, I never ended up putting it back on, and I was fine without it. And so I may be getting to the point where just a rear fender is what I end up using, knowing full well that there'll come a time, today perhaps, where I'll wish I had the front. But I think that the front one is more trouble than it's worth when you move a bike like I move my bike, utilizing air and train occasionally with that bike bag. So yeah, just risk reward, I guess, is where we're at on that. All right, we have moved away from the side of the water where the airport is. I can see several United planes over at the airport. Some folks in the water. I think they're fishing. Some pelicans. What a beautiful way to start things off. I am not moving at a very rapid pace by design. I have plenty of time. Just already knowing that this is not, I'm not going to get rained on. I think that I can do this at a pace that is fun rather than a slog. But at the same time, I also have to be aware of the time constraints that are there. I would really prefer to get there on my wheels rather than another train's wheels to get to Oceanside. But so far I've actually gone a whole freaking mile, so yay to that. Quiet in the park today. Probably going to be quiet for a little while. We are midweek. This is a Wednesday as I'm recording. So I expect to have a lot of these types of trails to myself. One last thing before I let you go. I am wearing the shoes that I chose are a pair of Merrell slip-ons. They're not ideal. I'm noticing that they do not grip very well on these pedals. And it's probably because they're older and the treads are off. They're fine. They're comfortable, that's for sure. But these are not the right choice for a multi-day adventure. Even though this is technically a multi-day adventure, I would choose different shoes. I was, as you all know, constrained with choice because so much of my stuff is in Seattle. The shoes that I would have definitely worn are sitting conveniently in Seattle right now. Because again, this trip came a little out of nowhere, or it developed quickly. It escalated quickly. And that's probably a good time to let y'all go until further on north from here. More to come. On the Bayside or Bayfront Trail, and we're moving pretty good. The rain, however, has picked up again. It's just spitting, nothing crazy, but it's certainly there. And I think I've cemented wearing the rain gear as the right choice at this point. It's raining almost enough that I wish I had a hat or a brim or something. I do have a small one on the helmet here, so I'm pulling that down to see if that helps any, and it really isn't. We'll get through it. I'm looking north of here towards the hills that I'll be climbing in a bit, and they're socked in a little bit, so this may end up being with me for the better part of the first third of the ride here, which again is no big deal. At this point, like, I'm a little moist. I'll continue to be a little moist. I will also say I'm very grateful that I did the shorts and t-shirt underneath. I'm wearing a merino tee, and the temperature regulation has been just perfect so far. Now going through some water here. That was not as bad as I was expecting. So that kind of answers the question about the front fender situation. I'm sure it's throwing some water on my drivetrain, but it just does not seem to be that big of a deal.
Medicine you taking?
This would have been a good spot to change out of the rain gear if the weather had stayed, but not to be. I also have to, once again, note that I did this ride so I wouldn't have to ride in the rain. The weather in Seattle has been just absolutely tremendous, like in a great way because we're used to a lot of cold rain, but in a bad way because I think we're going to be paying for it. Although there is some talk that our horrifically low mountain snow levels might get a bump up in the next week or so, which would be good for later in the summer. One of the challenges with summers in Seattle is there's now a definitive smoke season, which of course puts the kibosh on riding if it's particularly bad, but it's directional as well, and so there might be opportunities. That was just your basic update. I am about 5 miles into the ride already, so yeah, things are moving quite well. And still, I don't want to say struggling, but like the shoes not gripping on the pedals. It's interesting what you get used to, and then when things deviate a little bit, how that can change things. I know that was super deep there, but yeah, but having to think about the placement of my feet just ever so slightly more than normal is not as fun as I would like, but that's all right. Okay, I think we're going to be leaving the Bayside Bikeway in a few minutes here, so that is a good opportunity for me to say adieu to you, and we'll check in a little bit later. More to come. I believe we're in La Jolla right now, give or take. The buzz you may be able to hear is I-5, which I've been riding alongside for a lot of the last couple of miles. I'm over 4 miles past Mission Bay. I'm just shy, just a tick off 10 full miles of riding today, so I'm more than a quarter done, which is great. I'm in the portion of a slow climb that gets me to a final ascent that takes me up to the UCSD campus. Here, the blue line light rail going right by. You can take that from here all the way down to San Ysidro, which is the Mexican border. You can take it right there, which is actually great. The transit in San Diego is actually pretty great. And I'm certainly going to be taking advantage of stuff in the North County here in a little bit. But yeah, I am going to enjoy a bit of a break right here. I thought that one of the things that would make some sense for me would be to take extended breaks and eat a snack, whether I'm hungry or not, in this range, in this 10-mile range, and make sure that I'm hydrating as well. The other thing that I brought, which I'm excited, and I only have one left, I only brought 2 because I figured I would only need 2, are the things that I talked about, I believe, last big trip in Oregon. They are chewable electrolytes, and it's just a great way to not have to drink the electrolytes, which I think I've mentioned time and time again. They tend to upset my stomach when I have them that way. I found these are great. A listener recommended them, and I'm all in. They're pretty terrific. Refreshing and nice. They got a little jolt of caffeine as well. So I think I'll probably have that in my middle break on the other side of the UCSD campus. I'm probably only about 3-ish miles from the campus. And you end up going through it. It'll be interesting. Last time I went through there, classes were going on and it was pretty busy. I don't know what it'll be like now. It's February, so you got to figure they're in class, so probably maybe dodging some college age folks, which is cool and fun, and it's a beautiful campus. Then I end up on the far side, and I end up going through near the big golf course there, and then it's all flat for the rest of the way. Making great time according to Google Maps. I'm not tracking this on Ride with GPS just because I didn't feel like it. There's no other reasoning behind that, but yeah. Temperature regulation's been largely good. It feels like I'm in a bit of a fog bank right now. I can see very fine misty rain. Keeping the rain gear on seems to be the right choice for now.
Certainly the pants, at some point maybe this will all stop. This was supposed to have stopped by now, but I guess not. But it's been fine. I'm glad that the heavy stuff finished well before I started going. I guess the other nice thing is that it keeps the trail use a little bit low. But then again, at 10 in the morning on a Wednesday, I wouldn't expect it to be pretty robust, shall we say. Okay, that's your update now. And yeah, things are going well. I don't see any reason why I won't be able to make it not only on time, but well on time. I'm going to enjoy this little bit of an extended break. Oh, I think I mentioned that I bought cereal bars. Are these Honey Nut Cheerio bars? They're trash, let's be honest. They're all sugar, but okay. It hit the spot there exactly. It's just too sweet enough that I wouldn't want to have one of these in any other context. But I think for this context, they're perfectly great. And I'm hoping to keep the fuel going, even though I'm not super hungry. You ate probably a little too much food, but it was a lot of protein-heavy food. So I think that's going to be good for sort of long-term energy on this ride. It's not a ton of miles. Again, I haven't ridden this much in months and months, and these winter rides are always a little bit tricky in that sense, so we'll see. But I will say, riding light or lighter on the bike, that seems to make a difference. And me, I am lighter by a lot compared to last year. Probably a solid 20 pounds less, so that's really handy, and it feels good. So far, so good. Okay, from the campus of the University of California, San Diego. Just took a pic that may or may not be the thumbnail, you'll know, for this pod. I am near the top of the hill, which is great. It was interesting, after the break, I was actually a touch on the cold side. So it was nice to fully cool down and then warm back up again. Now here at the top of the hill, I'm sweating. So I think I'm gonna take a little bit more of a break right now while I record for you, the gentle listener. I am curious where I'm at in the ride here. Let's see, I have 24 miles left, so I am not quite half done. I've done 13, that means. So I am roughly a third done, which is great. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna maybe even have a sit for a moment. Just trying to think if this is the best spot for me. Here at the UCSD sign, it's concrete letters. They're actually stunning. I remember them from before. I can't remember if this is the second or third time I have gone northbound through this campus. It feels like it might be my third, but I'm just not sure. I certainly came through here in 2014 southbound. But yeah, it's a beautiful campus. Eucalyptus trees, and yeah, it is still spitting a bit. So yeah, the rain continues here at around just shy of 11 a.m. Pacific. So it's fine. I'm really glad I didn't become a weather weenie. I don't know, that's a weird turn of phrase. But I'm glad I didn't wait out this rain, because it strikes me it may be something that's going to be happening possibly all the way to Oceanside at this rate. And it's not so bad that it's problematic, of course. I'm going to need to get very used to riding in the rain again where I live. And yeah, this is just fine. The rain gear is actually working really well. This is my oldest rain jacket. I have so many rain jackets, so many Showers Pass rain jackets. I think I have 3 now. I think I've lost one as well, but in any event, yeah, I find that they're quite good. This one has delaminated inside, so it's not a great jacket anymore, but I've held on to it, and I'm really glad I still had it, because otherwise I would have been in a bit of a pickle in terms of today had I not had a rain jacket. I probably would have had to buy one someplace, and that just would not have been really great. So I'm really glad I've got this. It's giving me its best possible rain. I won't call it waterproofness. But it's doing pretty well. And temperature regulation has been pretty good with the pit zips all the way down. I also have zipped down the front for a lot of stuff, particularly on this climb up here. But for the most part, everything's been really good. A bunch of people on bikes today. A lot of students coming up here. It's busy, as you could hear with the bus going by here. So I expect that it'll be, I won't call it challenging, but it'll definitely be a situation going up there. One new thing since I was last here, a dude on an e-bike just screaming up the hill. This is a fantastic place for an e-bike if you live off campus, I would think. All right, as I cool down a little bit more, and I got just a little bit left on this climb, it'll warm me back up, I think, before I start what will be a bunch of flat, and then there's a fairly prodigious downhill on the far side of campus here, and I'll probably want to make sure that I'm pretty warmed up and then zipped up and ready, because that's probably going to chill me down pretty good before we get into the back half of the ride. All right, much more to come on this drizzly gray day. I'll take the gray. I'll even take the drizzly. This has actually been pretty good, all things considered weather-wise, even though I was dreading the possibility. Here we are, not so bad. From Solano Beach, a busy town. Train station is here. I am more than halfway. Rain has stopped, which is good. Temperature's fine. I'm a little moist, as one would expect. It really started to pick up rain-wise, so much so that my phone complained about my plugged-in headphones. So I had to take those out. Now I'm using wireless, and I'll have to record using the internal microphone. Hopefully it is not too bad. There is a fish taco place up in Encinitas that is about a 20-minute ride away. I am just starting to feel it in my quads. I've had 2 of my cereal bars. I've had both of those chewable, what do you call them? I'm having bike adventure brain, bike touring brain. What do you call them? Electrolytes. Yeah. But I'm also, I think, not drinking enough water. I'm in that bad place where I don't know where I'll be able to get water next, and I really should just drink my water, because I'm going to be within a 20-minute ride able to get a fish taco or 2. I think I should just drink this whole bottle right here. There's, I think, also water fountains around here as well, so shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, it's been a much more pleasant ride now that the rain has stopped. But yeah, I don't see any reason why I won't be able to get to Oceanside on time. Depends on how long I end up having the taco break, whether or not it makes sense for me to hop the train or not. I think I should have plenty of time. I just don't want to cut this close. That always stresses me out. Yeah. So taco, assess time, and figure it out from there. I believe there is a station in Encinitas. I know there's one in Carlsbad, but Carlsbad is practically right on top of Oceanside. In any event, I'm enjoying this. I will have to say, this ended up being a very different ride than I thought it was going to be. I saw the rain a few days ago and thought, it looks like it'll be over before it matters. And no, not really. It's afternoon now, and it just finally stopped. So a totally different ride. Again, thankfully I brought all the rain gear. If I hadn't brought the rain gear, I would have had to stop. I would have been just soaked to the bone, and it would have been really bad. So I'm grateful that I had this. And yeah, it's just a different kind of ride. It's warmer than it would have been up in Seattle, so I don't feel like I'm cheating on Seattle doing a rain ride, but it's good practice. It's good practice. It's like I said before. All right, next stop, tacos, and maybe a touch longer break, and we'll wrap all of this up with another probably take another hour on top of that, give or take. A little bit more than that. We'll see. More to come. From Oceanside, I ended up having to do a little bit of a fast forward. I was going to grab those tacos and then decided against it because I was starting to feel a little bit concerned about my physical ability to knock out the last 12 miles and do it in a timely way. So what I decided to do was to grab the 101 bus and just kind of scoot up to here. And I'm about an hour out from the train leaving here. And this gives me, instead of taking the break down there, where I probably would have been scrambling to figure out how to get up here, I decided, all right, let me get up here and then have my break, and then I can make it all work. I feel pretty good. I needed a rest is what it was. After sitting on the bus for about, 40 minutes or so, I actually feel really good now, but definitely ready for some food as well. So I think that it's yet another example of I just grind out these miles and don't take sufficient breaks and need to do a better job of that. I think also this is me starting to become a little more realistic about the kind of mileage I can make in a day when conditions aren't awesome.
But that's been going on the last few years anyway, but I'll figure that all out. In the meantime, I'm going to get some damn tacos, and I am going to eat them reasonably quickly and then get back, make sure that I'm on the platform and feel secure that I can make this train. Otherwise, I'm stuck here for another 3 hours. And the backup train that I didn't want to take will make it all work. But yeah, the bus was perfectly great and very easy to do. I will say I was glad that I fast forwarded it as well, because the congestion was really bad and there was some really gnarly construction that took out all of the bike lane opportunities. And it wasn't for the whole stretch, but it was for enough of it that it was worth reconsidering. So I'm glad I did what I did. I still got 27 miles in, and I'll have a few more on the Anaheim side as well. And yeah, this ended up working great. Again, this is a utilitarian kind of trip as much as anything, to get my bike up to Seattle and get a little ride in. The conditions weren't awesome, but I still got a fun ride in, and I'm excited about that. But I'm more excited about tacos, and that's where I'm going next. I just had a delightful 45 minutes at the Cantina. The place that I was going to go to was closed, and I'm glad, because the other place was way cooler. Kind of an outdoor cantina vibe, fish tacos, Olympic hockey was on, bartender was cool. That was just delightful. I do like some Oceanside. It's a little dense for a beach town, but it's all right. There's just a lot going on here, and massive transit. Just absolute. You've got Amtrak, you've got LA, you've got San Diego, you've got all sorts of different ways to get places. It's pretty freaking amazing. And it's also dried out. I've been able to get out of my rain gear, which feels much better. I don't mind being in it, but it's not my favorite. It's certainly not for being in. So I'm in much more comfortable set of clothes right now and feel a little drier, which feels nice. So this all ended up working out. I will say that I was barely prepared for this particular day in terms of the riding, but prepared enough. I think the backpack ended up staying dry enough inside. I did give my computer a little extra protection, and I think it was not necessary, but I'm glad I did it. Yeah, no, this was a good day at riding. I really enjoyed it. And now we've got I think an hour-long train ride, give or take. Gets me to Anaheim, a very short ride to the hotel, and then I think I'll probably get myself reconfigured there and then have an evening to myself, which will be really good. But before we end this particular episode, we do have that one little bit of extra riding to go, so that will be what you hear next time. From Anaheim, California. And we are working our way across the parking lot of the, I believe, Anaheim Angels. I think, oh, wait a second, aren't they the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? I don't know. Also, the hockey team is near here. The Anaheim Ducks, formerly owned by Disney, no longer. Yeah, and interesting that the bike route takes you through a parking lot, but it very much does. I don't have a ton of riding. It should only take me about 15 minutes to get to my hotel, which is great. It is glorious out. It's beautiful, blue skies, sunny. The train ride was absolutely stunning. That train line, and it's shared by local transit, regional transit, and of course Amtrak as well. It's just literally on the beach. There's no other way of putting it. It's one of the best spots of the entire train lines in the entire North America, and in all of North America, which is saying something. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna probably check in one more time when I get into the hotel, wrap things up for this day 0, day 1, and we'll go from there. All right, more to come. From Anaheim, California. And it is the end of this day's worth of riding, and it was very non-eventful on the way back here. Actually very quick, strangely quick. And I'm looking forward to a fun evening, except I think I've lost my credit card. I think I left it at that cantina. So I've gone ahead and I've locked it and everything, and all is fine. I'll take care of it when I get to Seattle, blah, blah, blah. But that's just annoying because it's my main credit card. I don't know, does anybody else get this? When you lose a credit card and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna have to change that number. And then I'm going to change all my bills.
This is real life stuff that is not part of the pod. But anyways, this sometimes happens, doesn't it? All right. That's the end of this day. We've got a shorter day tomorrow, but an interesting one nonetheless. But that will be for next time.
Statistics. Miles biked, 25 plus 2 equals 27. Buses bussed, 1. Trains trained, 1. Water bottles needed to wash sand off bike brakes from an ill-fated beach side quest, 4. Flats, 0.
Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.